Philosophy provides us with the analytical equipment to themize and frame hidden problems by constructing the necessary conceptual infrastructure to get at these problems. To decipher complex, multi-layered conceptual structures that already exist and have been passed down to us, to join these conceptual structures with the world we inhabit, to expand, refine, and challenge these conceptual structures through debate and dialogue, both oral and written, and to recognize the failures of the structures to improve lives and enhance society. This quote that Professor Keegan wrote on the board one morning at the time went right over my head. And little thought was stored in my notebook with all the other little pieces of information that I receive on a daily basis. What I didn't realize at the time, now that I look back at it, is this single quote can be a syllabus for our course, or Urban Philosophical Dilemmas. In our course, the conceptual structures were the problems faced by minority groups, specifically blacks, throughout a history and now on a day-to-day basis, and the failures of the institutional structures holding all these policies in place. Starting the semester, we talk about the article by Weaver, Is the United States a Racial Democracy? And determine that it seemingly is. A system that unfairly applies the laws governing the removal of liberty primarily to citizens of one race, thereby singling out its members as especially unworthy of liberty. Then we watch the movie Bastards of the Party by Clay Sloan. What we can take from this is that because one group is singled out, continuously put down, fired from jobs, make less than their peers, and the only type of capital that begins to have worth on the streets of their neighborhoods is the social capital they gain from being part of a gang. In these neighborhoods, the cities are laid out in such a way that the undesirable populations are segregated, and according to Bickford, while city planning, democracy is at stake. And it can be seen in neighborhoods across the country as well as Clay Sloan's neighborhood. About midway through the semester, we talk about the existential dynamics of theorizing black invisibility. The fact that a people is so present in our history of our country, in this case in a negative way, and now can be seen as invisible is a little absurd. Statements by Frantz Fanon stating that any blackness is too much blackness is the reason why even though segregation and discrimination is not institutionalized anymore, it can be seen almost in every city you visit, every store you walk into, and most people you talk to. Finishing off the semester, we talk about objectification and solitary confinement, along with two films. If thinking about solitary confinement in a figurative sense, not just putting someone in a cell with no doors or windows and denying them the right of humanity in and of itself, thinking about solitary confinement in society, putting a minority population in a figurative box that seems to have no way out. These people do not put themselves in this metaphorical box, thus they are denied their autonomy and making them inert. Hustle and Flow is a fine example of how someone is bound by society, dealing drugs, being a pimp. The main character, even when he tries to make something of himself through music, ends up in prison and then gets the notoriety he wants just for his criminal actions. The final film is not far off, starting out with a drug-dealing young black man that loses his job, but when he tries to get his life together, all this ties together. The black males are invisible to society, an invisible box until they do something wrong. Then they get thrown in a literal box with bars on the windows. Maybe society wants to put the group of blacks in a box, objectifying them, making them invisible, and only take the lid off the box when they do something wrong so that society can see it, and then keep the cycle going. Maybe the only way to fix this is not to change the group that is discriminated against, make them more white, but to change the people viewing these minority groups.